The Glaze pen is discontinued, and there's been a huge kerfluffle online about you've got to find us the new Glaze pen, and people were looking for replacements of the Glaze pen. I did a different path. So my idea is I started experimenting with this was what if there is no replacement for the Glaze pen? Maybe I should just open my awareness and just kind of see what else comes. One of the things that I like to do, because I'm working in a big sketchbook, is sometimes I like to cover a lot of space. So this is a giant paint pen, and I will give you all the links to these afterwards. So as I let go of the Glaze pen and I started playing the acrylic markers, Posca is one of the main brands. So you can buy Poscas. I loved how these would make marks. And so the more I played, the more I would learn how the different marks would come up. So for instance, when you're playing with your marks, if you come from the bottom up, you get a different mark than when you come down. You get a different mark if you hold it closely versus if you have a death grip on it, you can do that. If you just are pressing down. So there are many different marks you can make. So I started exploring with that. And this one, the way I do mine is I get empties, and you can buy just the ink that goes into them. So this will make sense, those of you that have been asking me about the large refillable markers. So this is basically, you can get the ink that goes in a paint pen, and I have been loving the paint pens. So Claire asked, what's a good black pen to fill in space with? This black ink is really black. It's really good. So that's one of the things that I have been enjoying, because I can get a variety that I couldn't get with the Glaze pen. So this is probably one that I have been enjoying a great deal. But notice that when you make your marks, you can go very quickly or you can go very slowly, and you're going to get different marks. So as you're exploring this week, speed is one of your variables to do. Speed is one thing that will change what your marks look like. I use a paint pen pretty much in every one of my little automatic drawings. My other favorite, these are really nice if you want to loosen up your sketching. So this one has a flexible tip, so you can go light and thick, but you can also get these interesting marks. So I'm changing, and this is what you can do this week. If you find some pens you've never used, you're like, what should I do? You really can't ruin one. The only thing you could do on these flexible tips, if you were to just press straight down and depress the tip, that might make it, that might ruin it a bit. But I like this, and you'll discover different marks that you like to make that your pens will make. What's cool is then if you like something that's more realistic, through making the marks, you'll start to see things. And so then if you were drawing, like a landscape or something, and you need something that looks like little grass, you would know, hey, this pen's going to do that for me. So this one is the same type. This is a with a brush tip. And this one became my absolute favorite. You see this in a lot of, if you go down like the automatic drawing little rabbit hole, it's very difficult to control. And then if you move it quickly across the page, you can get these interesting textures. But it's literally a brush, so it's not like it has a brush tip on it, so it responds to pressure and release. So then you can start to get these really interesting little things to show up. This one's fun to do quick things and slower things. So this one is a similar, Pentel makes these. So there's a pocket brush and the Fude brush, which I can't tell the difference. But this one, I have found myself grabbing this one a lot instead of my glaze pen. And what I do is I have an older pocket brush. And so this one, these have cartridges in them. So right now mine are all pretty juicy, but you can see how this one is much lower, has less ink in it. And then so I can do things like, oh, well, I can just, this one I use for being abusive to the tip. And so then if I want to like cover a spot, I'll just like play with it and I can get this like little furry, it almost looks like a little furry texture to it. So this is if you have some tools that you know you want to kind of abuse and like you're like, I'm gonna go really fast or see what it does, you can do that as well. So I happen to have a couple of these. So I use this one. My pink one is very gentle. So I'm very gentle with it. But this is the type of mark making. So those of you that are used to a really tight and controlled one, it's going to be move your grip to the end and play with your speed. So it might take on quite a bit of a scribble type situation there. Surprise, the microns have not been my favorite for this style. And number one reason why they are waterproof. I do love a micron. They're great for our Zentangles and a controlled doodle. But in this style, if I need to move or go to the side of it, this is the 10 and it does pretty well. But these, I tend to hold them more upright. And on the other paper I'm using, they just have not been very satisfying to me. Your mileage may vary. I have some of those, and the tip on those, the brush is so long and skinny. I like this brush tip better than the brush tip micron, but I have tried those, so I'm not saying that they won't work for other people. They're not my favorites for this. Platinum pen definitely makes the list because this one we can get really tiny controlled. And what I like to do with this one pairs well with a paint pen. So this is another way one of the days you're like, oh, you know what? I might test something like this. So it's fun to have a type of a pen. And then you can take like a little thinner one and go around it and it just kind of loosens it up. So this one is the platinum pen. A lot of you have that from different classes that we have done together. And then into our, like the roller balls, after coming to grips and grieving over the, demise of the glaze pen, these have been two of my favorites. One is a Uniball Vision, this gray one in fine, and then a Uniball Eye in broad tip. You can go over texture with them pretty well. Like if you were doing texture with a brush, it's going to eat a little bit of your brush up. So my mixed media friends. But this is so you can see what we're working with here. This one's the Uniball. I think this was the Vision Eye. These were a little harder to find. This is the Uniball Eye Broad, but look at that line. This one has been really interesting for me. So this one's the Uniball Eye, but this one's a broad, so it's a 1.0 millimeter. So we have that. And then the last little bit, so a little homage to our little glaze pen. And every now and then I use it, but I'm a little less like, I do have one lettering style that I still love to do with the glaze pen. But the thing of running these tiny experiments to where I'm like, one of my non-negotiables was I didn't use my glaze pen. And I did that on purpose because I know how much I love this pen, but I also am coming to grips with it's no longer made. So if you don't have a platinum pen, this one, I love this pen so much. This is the '06, and it has become one of my favorite ones for adding words and journaling. It has a very delicate line. And then I realized, shopping in my closet, I discovered I had a Jelly Roll '08 that I had been not loving on because of my obsession with the Glaze pen. And so this Jelly Roll '08, and you see it's a little bit narrower than the Uniball I,
Yeah, okay.
but these have honestly, they'll they'll do similar things to the Glaze. Nothing is going to replicate the 3D little glossy on the Glaze pens, but these have been satisfying in different ways. That is just a quick little overview of those. The other two that these are new. These are a liquid graphite. So if you end up, when I'm going to share this week, you'll get videos of my large book that I'm working in. And so I do some shading and shadows. And so this is a liquid graphite that you just put it on. And then once you hit it with water, it moves around the page. So I've got that. They're art graph pencils. And so because I'm working currently in just the black and white, those are kind of fun for me. So for me, it was like just to let go of that. I was so attached to the Glaze pen. I thought it was the end all be all. And we love it. And it was so unique, but I had to kind of broaden my aperture. And now I have all of these black pens that I've been laying with and playing with.